which they need to be alphas and leaders. So having the Rothschild bastard family with the father, who knows what father it was, is vital to cutting down on the number of leaders and alphas. Secondly, abortion is vital to the Rothschilds, because if you have a lot of abortions, you lose a lot of energy, so the children you produce are predominantly drones. So introducing massive amounts of abortion in the West cuts down on the number of alphas and leaders.
Of course, as we go to the break, going hand in hand with that is feminism.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Feminism is vital to the Rothschilds. It's part of the whole plan.
Absolutely. Be right back with Tim Refat, live from England, in just a couple of minutes. Okay, welcome back. We're with Tim Refat, live from England, drawing some very interesting historical parallels. And let's not forget for a moment the RIIA, of course, which came into its own in the 40s, the Royal Institute of International Affairs, probably the world's premier, or one of the premier, mass mind control social engineering. You know, it's a business. It's a firm, I guess we could call it that. Anyway, good points, Tim. Carry on.
Now, the Egyptians developed the technology to turn the alphas and the leaders into drones, and all the pack, which was the Egyptian people, were controlled by a god, a pharaoh, who, strangely enough, Tex Mars has on his wonderful website, The Power of Prophecy, has striking, if not identical, similarities to Barak Hussein Obama. Now, this seems rather strange, but if the Egyptians developed the technology to subvert the 15%, because remember the 85% are just robots, they will do what they're told. So that's why it's useless to try and convince the drones to do anything. You have to use the pack mentality to command them. Now, if we think of the Egyptians, they had slaves, which will be the Westerners in the so-called workhouses, work camps, because they'll be too poor to feed themselves. And we've got an elite who are worshipped as gods, the Mariah Winds, the Illuminati, the Eye in the Pyramid. So what we need is a way of tapping the group mind's history, awareness of a pharaoh, bringing it to the modern day. So, of course, we need to have a modern-day pharaoh in control of the so-called only superpower, and we need to have him elected with messianic, godlike fervor from the drones, so-called Obots. So now we see why they're Obots, because the drones are commanded to worship their god, who is Obama. And this has been carefully planned, because first of all, we have the evil man, the personification of torture evil, George W. Bush, and then we have this godlike pharaoh figure who comes in and he's going to save the world, and he's just such a wonderful, wonderful person. And of course, his bloodlines go back to the pharaohs. Strangely enough. He also has bloodlines to white people. He also has bloodlines to the Ashkenazi, because otherwise the Ashkenazi Rothschilds could not use him as a stepping stone to taking over the group mind of humans. And one must look at why is blood, why is race so important to mass mind control. Well, this goes back to something called the 100th monkey, where you've got these Japanese monkeys on islands that wash rice. Well, one of them washes rice from the sand that's in it by chucking it in the sea, and the rice floats to the surface. And when 100 of them do it, every single member of that species, no matter how far separated, all immediately do the same thing. So we can see biologically there is a so-called telepathy, but there's an activation energy of at least 100 monkeys needed before it goes into practice. So, for example, you see fashion, where fashion spread through the world, and you see now why the Rothschilds are in command of the media and advertising, because with that they can command the 100th monkey syndrome. Now, there's something also called the 100th idiot, where you can actually get 100 of humans of the same race doing something stupid.
Sure.
And then, of course, it propagates through the population.
Yeah.
So, for example, you can have unwed mothers. You can have mass abortion instead of using condoms. You can have obeying the authorities mindlessly. You can have giving billions of pounds of money to fantastically rich bankers who make mistakes because you're told so. And as long as 100 idiots do it, it spreads through the population. So you can see that the 100th idiot is the mechanism by which the Rothschilds command the West. But if they want to unite the planet, then they need to bring the archetype of the Pharaoh, this man who is worshipped as a god and turns the alphas and leaders into drones. They need to bring that archetype and re-embody it in the present.
You know,
and
Tim,
Barack Obama is that man.
Right.
And his bloodlines have to contain white. They have to contain black and the Muslims, because remember they want to rule all that. But they also have to contain Ashkenazi, because when he is terminated by whatever means, then of course the Rothschilds can then take over that mantle, and he is used as a stepping stone to the New World Order. Why does this happen? Well, because in humans, the human has three layers of a brain. It has a reptilian brain, which is the brain stem. Around that's the limbic system, which controls all the emotions. And around that's the cortex, which does the higher consciousness in non-Westerners. And, of course, in Westerners just runs 100th idiot programs, which are called memes. Now, the brain stem is actually linked telepathically to all the other brain stems, and significantly looks like the snake which the Rothschilds worship, and is the snake-like figure you'll find in all Rothschilds.
Right. All right. Stand by, Tim. We have to take a break. Extraordinary insights, remarkable connections. I was going to say that if you look at Obama's face and look at many of the ancient carvings, beautiful sculptures of pharaohs and things, you can easily see his face there, in Pharaoh's garb, in Pharaoh's surroundings, easily. His African heritage obviously has Arabic blood in it, not strictly sub-Saharan Negroid blood. There's a lot going on here. Nothing by chance, nothing by accident. Extremely well contrived. Wouldn't surprise me in the least if this whole thing began even before he was born. All right, let's get right back into our conversation with Tim Rifat. By the way, as I was saying when we went to the break, it would not surprise me in the least if Obama's conception and birth were not orchestrated as well, to some degree. In 1993, Tom Fife wrote about the dinner he was at in Moscow that Tim alluded to earlier, where the wife of the host of the dinner had a few drinks. She was a very hardcore Soviet communist, and she said, and I quote, "You Americans always like to think that you have the perfect government, and your people are always so perfect. Well then, why haven't you had a woman president by now?" She went on to say, "Well, I think you're going to be surprised when you get a black president very soon." What if I told you that you will have a black president and he will be a communist? Yes, it is true. This is not some idle talk. He is already born, and he is educated and being groomed to be president right now. You will be impressed to know that he has gone to the best schools of presidents. He is what you call Ivy League. You don't believe me? But he is real, and I even know his name. His name is Barak. His mother is white and American, and his father is black from Africa. That's right, a chocolate baby, and he's going to be your president. She went on to tell more to Tom Fife at that dinner, but I think you see, this goes back to 1993, that something is up. Tim, go ahead.
Now, if you've got this brain and you put a lot of stress into it, for example, a financial meltdown, people unemployed, you put a lot of